Welcome to City Journal News. This is our Arts and Culture edition.
I'm Victoria Knauf.
And I'm Matilda Edwards.
Making news today, thousands of Chinese Melburnians descended on the Yarra for a special festival.
We find out why vinyl records are making a comeback.
And a nail artist has found a new and creative way to raise money for charity. Can you guess how?
Thousands of Chinese Melburnians descended on the Yarra River to celebrate the Mid-Autumn Festival at the weekend. Tamara McDonald was there.
Brightly lit lanterns, the musky smell of incense, colourful dragons and delicious mooncakes. The Yarra was transformed to celebrate the Mid-Autumn Festival. 3,000 years ago, the festival was a time to celebrate the autumn harvest. But on a beautiful spring day in Melbourne, it was a celebration of the state's vibrant multicultural identity.
It's a festival where family get together, have some mooncakes, tea, and make some lanterns and all that. It's a very gathering-y festival. We are also here celebrating the multicultural identity of Melbourne and to share some of the Asian culture. Yeah, just to share the fun and the cultural bit of it.
In the 2011 census, 304,775 Australians declared they were born in China, Hong Kong or Taiwan. Melbourne's Chinese population has experienced growth since the gold rush caused significant migration from China to Victoria. Although it may not be autumn here in Australia, Melbourne is not missing out on the festivities. Here at Crown River Walk, Chinese culture is being celebrated with food and activity stalls and traditional performances. Other nations from around Asia are also represented, with Japanese drumming and Korean cuisine on offer.
I was walking along the river and I saw a festival, that's why I'm here.
Tamara McDonald, City Journal News.
The arts community is celebrating today the replacement of controversial Arts Minister George Brandis. He's been ditched by the new Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull in his new-look cabinet. Jonathan Lian reports Senator Brandis had few artistic friends.
Ding dong, Brandis is gone. Melbourne's writers are happy to see Art Minister George Brandis off the job after he made numerous unpopular policies, which resulted in an open letter by prominent Australians calling for his removal.
The fact that Brandis has been removed means we've kind of got a bit of a fresh start and someone new to potentially work with, which is exciting. It's
the outcome that we were advocating for. So the open letter that we wrote with 350 writers, including Nick Cave and Nobel Prize winning J.M. Coetzee, called for that.
Senator Brandis has been replaced by Mitch Fifield, a Victorian senator who was previously the Assistant Minister of Social Services and the Manager of Government Business in the Senate. Leading Australian artists such as Nick Cave called for Senator Brandis' sacking. In their open letter to the new Prime Minister, they called for a restoration of funding to the literary arts sector and increased dialogue between writers and the government.
It's our responsibility as well. It's not just, the politician. It's literature and the community's responsibility to create voice. It's on us to lobby him. We can't just expect that he'll come to our doors and just get, content across his desk. Otherwise, he'll not know what we're doing.
The arts community says Senator Fifield and his actions will be watched closely by local authors. But what will Senator Mitch Fifield mean for the literary arts? Only time will tell. Jonathan Lian, City Journal News.
Vinyl records are making an unexpected comeback, with sales of the almost archaic music format booming over the past 5 years, creating new community groups and events all over Melbourne. I went down earlier to explore.
It may seem like it's all about Spotify at the moment, but out in the real world, vinyl records are making an unlikely resurgence and reviving a community of music lovers in Melbourne. A study released by the University of Melbourne shows that vinyl sales went up 77% between 2012 and 2013, and in the US over the past 5 years, sales of records increased from 988,000 to 4.6 million. With over 30 years' experience in the music industry, Jean-Pierre Jezequel, and the records that take up 2 rooms of his house, is particularly pleased about the vinyl resurrection.
Seriously, records are magic, and people know this. They know it's different. It's just different. It's like a throwback to, what things used to be like. In England, a lot of labels actually cut out vinyl completely, which I was living in London at the time, and I was absolutely distraught by this. How can they do this? So yes, I mean they have actually learned their lesson now that vinyl is actually a good medium, and the records produced today are quality-wise are pretty amazing. The quality of the sleeve, of the artwork, of the photography. They do some wonderful things these days with vinyl, and it's great.
The Melbourne Record Club runs regular Bring Your Own Vinyl nights at venues across the city, allowing people, regardless of experience, to bring vinyl and learn to spin them on turntables, becoming old-school DJs and bringing vinyl lovers together in a community. In an industry where most news is bad news about the rise of music piracy and artists and record labels unable to support themselves anymore, the resurrection of vinyl can only be a good thing. Not only has music become tangible again, but we've opened up the experience and process that music consumption used to be to a whole new generation. As well as old Beatles and Pink Floyd records available now, local artists like Tame Impala and Courtney Barnett are doing particularly well on vinyl in Melbourne. Also, Taylor Swift and One Direction are also releasing on vinyl, so it's accessible to everyone. So, turns out your dad isn't a loser for hanging onto his vinyl. It looks like they're here to stay. Matilda Edwards, City Journal News.
When you're trying to raise money for charity, what you really want to hear is that you've nailed it. Now that thought is becoming a reality at a little shop in East Brunswick. Amelia Mills reports.
Here at the Burrows, people are doing their bit for those in need, but their help is coming in a craftier form than your average fundraiser.
It's the best to be here in such a beautiful environment, getting to spend time with lovely people who've come in to get their nails done who also want to support such a good charity, and to paint really fun designs as well. So, you know, it's a bit of a dream day.
They are raising money for Foundation House, an organisation that provides support to refugees in Victoria who have experienced torture or trauma in their home country. Fundraising events like this one are important in helping the organisation run its programs. The nail art is themed around Adelaide fashion designer Julie White's latest collection, Australia Nights, which features hand-drawn prints on silk scarves and socks.
So I've come all the way from Adelaide today to do this event at the Burrows. It's really cool to be part of the community here and do something really creative for charity with the nails and launching my new collection.
The event has produced so much interest, all nail art sessions have been booked out for the day, proving that many people want to engage with this type of creative fundraising. The Burrows have planned many more events for the future.
I do love nail art and, you know, having my nails done, but I see it as a bit of a luxury that I don't usually partake in. But Foundation House is an incredible organisation and the work they do is so amazing and admirable. And so this was just the perfect opportunity to get my nails done kind of guilt-free for me.
Amelia Mills, City Journal News.
The Australian Ballet is set to announce its 2016 season at a launch party in Melbourne tomorrow. Expect to see heartwarming. The final show of the year, Sleeping Beauty, has almost entirely sold out in Melbourne, proving that our appetite for the classics hasn't waned.
Chile has had a difficult week with much of the country rocked by an earthquake and a tsunami. But for the small number of Chilean expats in Australia, it was time to have happier thoughts at a dance festival to celebrate the country declaring its independence from Spain some 200 years ago. Jennifer Zhao was there earlier today.
Now, in its 10th year, this year's event kicked off with the typical Chilean National Day opening ceremony. Both Australian and Chilean national flags were raised as audience sang the anthems of both countries. Hundreds of Chileans and many Hispanic groups came to the festival, celebrating Chile's independence from Spain and cultural diversity in Australia. Glenda Sanchez is one of a few young Chileans performing at the event. She even tried to teach us some basic Latin moves.
Chile's National Day falls on this weekend. A large number of community groups and organizations will be participating in this two-day event, bringing back the tradition of celebrating with dancing, singing, fireworks, and great food.
Vendors at the event provided a wide range of street food from all over Latin America and unique Chilean-inspired art crafts, offering a satisfying cultural experience. While the kids were enjoying a sweet snack, for many Chileans it was a time to remember how lucky they were to have come to Australia and to pause for a moment to think of those still at home. Jennifer Zhao, City Journal News.
There are plenty of ways you can gain notoriety in the modern world, but it takes a special someone to do that through the art of crocheting. But that's exactly what Melbourne artist Phil Ferguson has done with his food-inspired crochet creations, drawing over 130,000 followers on Instagram and counting. Since moving to Melbourne from Perth, Phil has crocheted hats in the shape of food, put them on and uploaded them to Instagram. This has seen him get his own exhibition at this year's Royal Melbourne Show. Showgoers will be able to view some of Phil's most famous works, including a banana, hamburger and Fruit Loop hat. The show ends on September 29, and we suggest ditching the fairy floss and show bags for a Melburnian creative you can meet in the flesh.
Footy mania has well and truly hit Melbourne as the city gears up for AFL Grand Final, with or without a Melbourne team. One of the more unusual footy events is a walk through a gallery boasting some of the game's most memorable moments. Siobhan Calafiore took some time out to take a look.
Footballers pay their respects to a coach taken too soon. An umpire and a player share a laugh. These highs and lows of AFL are captured in stunning photography on display at Crown Casino.
Yeah, there's a photo of Chris Judd, going over on his knee, ending his career. That's just 1 millisecond in time where, one of the greatest players of the modern era, that's the absolute moment that his career finished.
It's a touching tribute to the sport Melbourne loves.
Sometimes we kind of forget about, the power of what a photograph can do. We're sort of bombarded with, little 15-second video grabs here and there of AFL highlights, but sometimes, the beauty of a single photograph is overlooked at telling the stories of the season.
Nat Fyfe, the favourite to win next week's Brownlow, also at Crown, has made his way into the exhibition.
The display isn't the only thing to get excited about during the finals. There's plenty of other activities for fans, including the traditional Grand Final parade and the AFL Live site, which will run for 3 days leading into the Grand Final right here outside the MCG.
The Live site's got lots of activities. It's got marking competitions, it's got kicking competitions, it's got Disney down there with the giant slide and ice skating rink. We've got the Nickelodeon slime booth. We've got the Game of Thrones dragon that'll be breathing fire on the Friday night. So all sorts of things going on.
With only 4 teams left in the race, it's poised to be an exciting finish. Siobhan Calafiore, City Journal News.
And we're now crossing to Jonathan, who's at the Docklands for the weather. How's it looking out there, Jonathan?
Thanks, guys. Well, what a morning we've had in Melbourne today. I'm currently at Docklands, and I thought it would be freezing. But looks like Melbourne has turned it on yet again, and the sun is shining as bright as my cardigan. In true spring fashion, we've had a bit of rain, sun, and even a bit of hail today. But we are expecting 6 millimeters of rain and a max of 13 degrees. Tomorrow we'll see similar conditions, but the max would be 14 degrees and the minimum would be 7. The rains will start to clear by this Thursday and Friday, with the weekend seeing to see warmer weather. So we have to go through quite a dreary weather this week, but this weekend will be much warmer and spring would have sprung yet again. Thanks, guys. Back to you.
And that's the news this Tuesday, the 22nd of September.
It's our last bulletin today, as the class of 2015 is set to wrap up our studies at the end of October.
Be sure to listen out for us on Triple R News Bulletins in the coming weeks.
Thanks for joining us.